After making her name on NXT and NXT UK, Toni Storm is now on SmackDown. With the Stack division on the Blue brand, she's not had that much time to express herself, but with the draft, she's expected to become a big star. This is Wrestling Up, and we're talking about Toni Storm and everything you need to know about her. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Before WWE, she wrestled simply as Storm. She then has taken on the name Toni Storm. Her real name, however, is Toni Russell. Her career has seen her wrestle across the world, and despite being young, she has more experience than many. Toni was born in New Zealand, but she would move to Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia at 4 years old. Storm comes from a broken family as her parents separated, leading to her move to Australia. Born on October 19, 1995, she is about to turn 26, with her being a promising young talent. While living with her mother on the Gold Coast, Toni discovered WWE. Much like many children her age, she wanted to wrestle. Unlike many other children, she would soon become involved in the business. Many wait until they are 18 before they begin to wrestle. However, under the ring name Storm, Toni began to train at Impact Pro Wrestling's Australian affiliate before the age of 13. At 13, she made her debut. It should be noted that Australian Impact Pro Wrestling is not an associate of Impact Wrestling. The company allowed aspiring wrestlers to start training from the age of 12. She spent most of these years not only training but wrestling men. Talking about her time back then, Toni remembered it fondly, saying, "For a long time I was the only girl and it kind of felt like I had these big brothers beating me up. My first 2 years was mainly intergender wrestling. I think I wrestled about 3 girls. There wasn't much." Toni's mom would support her completely. During an interview with ESPN, Toni talked about the trouble her mother went through to support her dream. "She would pay my fee by selling hot dogs at these shows that they would run. I wrestled in a little shed. I wrestled in front of moms and dads. It was borderline backyarding, but it was still a company. I got started then, and it was ridiculous and a silly age to start, but I'm glad I did it because now I have all of this experience and that helps." Over the next 5 years, Storm continued to hone her skills and wrestled all over Australia, gaining a lot of experience before she was even 18. At a young age, she started wrestling in hardcore matches. With her getting hurt in these bouts, Toni realized this was not conducive to having a long career. It was mainly matches, but when I was 14 or 15, I did loads of hardcore matches. I wrestled with the guys most of the time because there weren't many girls. Street signs, chairs, all kinds of crazy stuff. Then I got older and realized I need to kind of save my body if I'm going to be doing this for a long time, so I stopped doing all that. But there was a time when I was growing up when I would do hardcore and death matches. At 18, Toni managed to convince her mother to let her move to England. Upon moving, she started to live with her grandmother in Liverpool. Then she started to train with Dean Allmark and only improved from there. She wrestled not only in the UK but all over Europe. She worked in a WWE tryout camp in 2014 as well during the Australian tour in Melbourne, and was a part of the tryout camp in the UK in 2015. While Storm's career started off with intergender wrestling, she continued to wrestle in these matches. One of the most notable was against Timothy Thatcher in New Orleans. It was one of the hardest matches of my entire life. He didn't go easy on me, and he's the nicest person I've ever met. He's such a gentleman. He'll take his hat off when he says hello to you. He's the loveliest, sweetest person, but he didn't go easy on me whatsoever, which I appreciated. I still do intergender matches occasionally. I love doing them, but now it's mostly girls. Storm has also got a very intense and hard-hitting style. Toni revealed that she found her inspiration in Japanese wrestling and talked about how Satomura and others inspired her. Women have done that kind of stuff for years all over the world. You only need to watch the Japanese wrestling to know how brutal it is and see that women can follow the guys. It's fine, we're just as brutal sometimes. You only need to watch a Satomura match to know how physical and how brutal it is. Women have been doing that for years, and now finally people are going to start seeing how we're tougher than the guys. Given her inspiration from Japanese wrestling, it's not surprising that Storm experienced a lot of success in Japan. While there, she received an enormous push in the world of Stardom, winning the SWA World title in 2016, and then became the first to win the 5-star GP in 2017, as well as the Cinderella tournament. On top of that, she won the World of Stardom Championship, which was the top title in the company, and held it for 258 days. Despite her success, she had to work her way up the roster and had a tough time getting acclimated to Japanese culture. Trying to translate the most basic things sometimes can be an all-day thing. Sometimes when the referee's trying to communicate to you, they try their best and you try your best. What I like to do is when I'm on the same tour as the other foreigners, if I can be ringside I do, because if anything goes wrong and you're having trouble communicating to the ref, it's always good if there's another foreigner to help translate. Japan's very big on seconds being there with the water and the cool spray anyway, so I always like to make sure I'm there ringside and ask if they can be for me, because you don't want to have a broken neck and next thing you're trying to tell the ref what happened, but you can't. It's hard, but at the same time, sometimes not knowing what's going on is nicer. As mentioned, Toni tried out for WWE twice before getting signed. She ended up failing to be signed in 2014 and 15, but would not have to wait long as she was signed during the first Mae Young Classic. Progress was one of the biggest indie promotions to rise up in the mid-2010s. She was a part of the promotion and was crowned the first women's champion in a triple threat match against Jenny and Laura Di Matteo. She earned her way into the title bout going through the first women's natural progression tournament where wrestlers like Tegan Nox, Chakra, and Bea Priestley competed. Upon winning the belt, Storm took the natural position as the face of Progress women's wrestling division before going with WWE. In 2017, Toni was announced as a part of the first Mae Young Classic. Unfortunately, although she won in the first few stages, she was eliminated in the semifinals by Kairi Sane. Talking about the experience, Storm said how much it meant to her. That was nerve-wracking. I was out doing all the tapings, all the interviews, and getting ready for it for about 10 days in Orlando. It was just 10 days of nerves. I was terrified. It was so nerve-wracking because it's WWE, it's the top place, it's where I've always wanted to be. I nearly had a heart attack. The next year in the 2018 Mae Young Classic, she was able to win and defeat Io Shirai in the final. On NXT UK, Toni Storm lost to Rhea Ripley in a match that was meant to determine the first NXT UK Women's Champ. Unfortunately for Storm, Ripley won and became the inaugural champion. She would not have to wait long, however. 4 months later in January, Toni Storm defeated Ripley to become Women's Champ, before losing to Kaylee Ray after a 231-day reign. Even though she was on NXT UK and Women's Champion, Toni was allowed to wrestle for other promotions, competing against ICW's Kaylee Ray and wrestling in WXW Stardom and Progress. Toni Storm is also dating a New Japan star and former WWE talent Juice Robinson. There were hints that the two were dating and she confirmed it with a photo with Juice. She would go on to post pics of them cuddling to put any doubts away. She has since talked about how she felt Robinson was the best thing that happened to her. Toni Storm came out as bisexual on NXT's Instagram story as a part of Pride Month, with her saying, "So when it was announced I would be taking over the Instagram for Pride Month, I noticed a lot of people were like, Toni, are you just ally? Are you in the community? What's going on here?" Well, I guess now is a good time to say both. I'm an ally, and I cannot exactly say that I'm straight. I'm bi, and it feels good to say, and it's something I've been comfortable with for a long time. I just never really expressed it. I don't know, I just never really found the right time, and it's Pride Month and I'm on your Instagram, so now's a good time, I guess. Storm was on Lillian Garcia's podcast talking about how she was a fan growing up, but unfortunately her popularity came with her suffering from various issues. She suffered a hack and private mediaverse was leaked, which caused her to delete all her social media. I just shut down because I noticed stuff that had leaked because I was already kind of in a bad place mentally. I always really struggled with depression and anxiety. I've never really spoken out about it. I don't know why. There's not really any reason for it. I'm not sure why I suffer from it, but a lot happened growing up where I lost my grandfather and there was a lot of drama with my family. She had a history with mental health issues, so the leaks brought all that to the forefront. At 16, I was diagnosed with anxiety. When all that came about, I was already struggling. I was like, I don't want to know about any of this. I didn't want to face it, so I just one day, I was like, the hell with this. I didn't want to be seen. I really didn't, because I was completely humiliated and ashamed. It was awful, and I didn't even know who to turn to. And these were things you need to know about Toni Storm. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.